All my crimes are related with drugs. Drugs has been my downfall.
Just visiting the system, you see all the depression. You see a lot of broken down people.
Punishment has to be there first. Then provide and have counseling. See if there is a possibility of restitution.
There is no legislative mandate for rehabilitation. It is solely punishment by legislative mandate.
You have to forgive. You have to forgive. I shudder to think what my life would have been like.
You get to a point in life that you realize there is a God who can help you, who is always there for you.
My mission here is to try to bring hope to men who feel hopeless. I believe restorative justice is a way of returning men to society in a meaningful way. I've heard it said that one of the ways of looking at restorative justice is taking soil and turning it over, to restore that soil so that something can grow. And I like that concept because it talks about how we can work with men to help them change.
I know that some jurisdictions are moving into the restorative justice model. I know that experts in corrections in the state of Oregon and state of Minnesota have attempted to implement some restorative justice, and it's known by various names. There's a victim offender reconciliation program. If, in fact, that is the desire of the victim, I believe that it is absolutely appropriate. However, I have concerns that victims not be placed in a position of potentially being re-victimized, but reconciliation can be a very important aspect of rehabilitation.
Katina wanted to attend UOP, University Pacific in Stockton, to follow in her mother's footsteps as a dentist. We dropped her off on Labor Day weekend, and at 11 o'clock Monday night, we received a call and said, "This is the Stockton Police Department. Your daughter's been shot."
Little did we know that he had planned to murder her 6 months prior. He lured her to take a walk and just say goodbye to her when he shot her execution style and left her there to die. After that was all over, I asked my husband, I said, in memory of Katina, I want to quit my job and I want to volunteer the rest of my life as a victim advocate.
My daughter was molested. My daughter Connie was molested by a neighbor directly across the street. And as a mother, I became very, very bitter, very, very hateful, and didn't trust God anymore. It took many years for me to overcome this, and it was only through my husband and my priest who had faith in me. My daughter is 40 years of age, and she has joined this wonderful church that has brought her faith back into her life. It's been a long struggle for her, but I think she's finally learning to forgive.
You have every right to be angry, and you have every right to question, why God, why me? However, you need faith to get through this.
You have to forgive. You have to forgive, or you'll just go along. I know if I hadn't, I shudder to think what my life would have been like.
What we're looking for is support from the church. We're saying to the church, look, you've gone the other way, you've done that, and you ought to continue to do your ministry for the prisoner and rehabilitation. We have no objection to that. We're saying, give us the same. We're saying, do the same thing for us, yes, because we need it just as badly as they do.
I started hanging around the wrong people, and I started doing crack. I started doing it probably once a weekend, and then more often and more often, to the point that I couldn't help it anymore. I couldn't handle it. So I started like robbing people, stealing stereo cars. That's what I got caught. When I was in jail, I started thinking about a lot of things, like what it makes me go into the drug thing. So step by step, I started thinking about my friends, people that I hurt, people that they had confidence in me, and I disappointed them. I talked with my mom, I talked with my dad, and I asked him for forgiveness. You get to a point in life that you realize there is a God who can help you, who is always there for you. I pray every day now, I go to church. I try to keep my relationship with God stronger than ever. I know there's a lot of people out there who need help. They just need a little bit of attention, and you will see a lot of changes with the help of God.
Brett's biggest problem has been Brett. His first encounter with the prison system was when he was living with his oldest son's mother. She accused him of raping her. He got sent to prison for a very long time. And from then on, it was just a revolving door. Just visiting the system, you see all the depression. You see a lot of broken down people. You see a lot of people that show signs of no hope.
Well, I had a history of alcohol abuse, which ended me up on Skid Row in New York in 1957. The problem got worse to where I ended up embezzling money. I got caught and was locked up behind it. When I was released from Stockton State Hospital, I was not welcome at home. And I ended up down in Carmel Valley working for $75 a month room and board. Whereas at one time I'd been a stockbroker making huge money. Life was pretty miserable, and I ended up under the San Francisco Bay Bridge in a cardboard box. And I finally got sober in the middle of June 1976, and I never had dreamt in a million years that I would ever become ordained as a deacon in the Catholic Church. San Quentin State Prison is probably one of the more interesting prisons in the state of California, in as much as it is run as a maximum security prison, and yet there are men here who are minimum security. My mission here is to try to bring hope to men who feel hopeless. And many of the men that I minister to are men who are going to be spending probably the balance of their lives, if not all of their lives, in custody. And what has made this so meaningful is the men can relate to my journey, my alcoholism, my drug addiction, and my being locked up. Yeah, when do you go out? I think Arnulfo Garcia is an excellent example of what happens when men have substance abuse problems and nothing is done in any way to help them. Arnulfo Garcia is now here on a third strike, doing 65 years to life behind a non-violent crime.
All my crimes are related with drugs. Drugs has been my downfall. Using heroin became a way to escape what I was facing at home. So what I did is I continued on the streets, and I started going in and out of youth authorities. From the youth authorities, I wind up in the prison system, and I've been in and out of the prison system for 27 years. And I realized that the way I was living, the people that I was blaming, the system, bottom line, it was my responsibility for the actions that I've taken by breaking in people's homes and stealing to support my drug habit.
Arnulfo Garcia is probably one of the great examples of a man whose faith has made a big difference in his life, but who, had he been given an opportunity to get help behind his heroin addiction, might not be doing the time he's doing here in San Quentin. Condemned row is a very difficult place to be. I've been going to death row now for over 2 years. Men on death row literally live day by day. Each day is a new day for them.
In carrying out the duties as district attorney, most times there is no conflict whatsoever between what we do as prosecutors and the teachings of the Catholic Church. Obviously, if somebody has committed a sin, there is an expectation of accountability, of confession, and ultimately some sanction. The one area in which there can be conflicts, obviously, is a decision which we have to make on a regular basis, and that is whether or not to seek the ultimate penalty, the death penalty, in cases where people are charged with murder in special circumstances. Personally, I do not believe in the death penalty, and yet my personal feelings do not impact what I do as the district attorney, because as the top prosecutor in our county, it is my obligation to see that the laws of the state are followed and implemented.
I have been against the death penalty all of my life. The death penalty is totally immoral. It violates the 10 Commandments in thou shalt not kill. It doesn't bring closure. It does not act as a deterrent. It doesn't change anything. The greatest fear that men have is of dying in prison alone. And a sentence of life without parole is more frightening than the death penalty.
In practice, it's my view, we've never had adequate resources to truly rehabilitate the people who have been sent to prison. There is no legislative mandate for rehabilitation.
This prison has more programs than any other prison in the state of California. For men who are willing to participate in those programs, they have a really good shot at making changes in their lives. Your incredible mercy and forgiveness. I pray for Todd and Frank.
There should be a system of training, education, job skills. There should be a community kind of program in the prison for the prisoners.
By releasing all these prisoners and they're not rehabilitated and coming out in the programs, we're going to have innocent victims.
When they come out, it should be part of their parole, like a reintroduction into society, where they would go to a rehabilitation center for no less than 6 months. It would save the taxpayers a big amount of money.
The recidivism rate in the state of California is over 70%, second highest in the country. Doesn't have to be that way. And again, it's going to take people recognizing that we're spending all of this money and we could do it a whole lot better.
I do believe that people can change if, in fact, they are given the life skills to function. Our current penal system does not provide any basis at all for people to come out of the criminal justice system and change to becoming productive members of society.
And men can change, and it's helping them see that change is truly possible in their lives. We have to find a way to restore men to the community. I think it has to start at the state legislature level, because nothing's going to change until the legislature is willing to look at what we need to change. And the whole idea of restorative justice began way back with the early abbeys, where the abbot, if there was a monk who was having problems, would be sent to his cell. And at the time that the abbot felt he was able to spend enough time, let's say in penance, the abbot would go and get him, put him on his shoulders and bring him back into the community, restoring him to the community. What a wonderful concept. And it would work if we would just give ourselves a chance to do that.